Hey there everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So guys, this is video 3 of Azure OpenAI service series, and in this particular video we are going to build natural language solutions with Azure OpenAI. So this will be a complete practical implementation oriented video where I will be discussing everything related to Azure OpenAI and how you can create and deploy everything. Okay, so we'll be doing even an exercise also. It will be very interesting. Okay, exercise task. Okay, so now let's not waste our time. Let's dive into my computer screen and discuss more about this particular topic. Before that, if you are not subscribed the channel, do subscribe the channel and on the bell notification. And also guys, if you have not watched my previous videos of this particular series, make sure you watch those videos, or else you will definitely not understand what we are trying to do here. Okay, so now let's not waste our time. Let's dive into my computer screen and discuss more about this particular topic. So guys, here you can see this is one course which I was telling you all. This course link is in this video description. You can open it and you will get the certification at the end, which is free of cost, and even you will get the credentials for it. It's Microsoft valued certification, you can say. Normally for other certifications you have to pay money, but this course and this certification test which you are going to take, it is completely free. Okay, so just I'll click on my this one, yeah, building natural language solution with Azure OpenAI service. So I'll just click on this and I'll click on introduction. So Azure OpenAI provides a platform for developers to add artificial intelligence functionality to their application, which helps in both Python, C and SDKs of REST API. So you all can just read these topics. Okay guys, I'm not going to go in deep of this particular topics. I'm just going to cover at the up because we'll be doing the exercises or else the practical implementation which is here. So this will be our main motive in this particular video, to make you all understand practically. So here I'll go at overview. Okay, integrating Azure OpenAI in your app. So Azure OpenAI offers C++ and Python capabilities and REST API capabilities. So for developers, you can use to add AI functionalities to their applications. Okay, so you can even code it with the help of Python. I'll show you all how you can do it. Create Azure OpenAI resource. Okay, choose the deployment in which you will be selecting the text for generative pre-trained transformer, that is GPT, and for code also there are some built-in modules, and even for embedding. So you will be like read all these topics. Okay, for text, code and embeddings there are different GPT models. In the authentication and specification of deploying this particular module. Okay, so when you want to deploy, you have to like configure and everything, right? So I'll be showing all how you can configure it locally in your VS Code. Okay, and the prompts, prompt engineering, this matters a lot, how well you are going to write the prompts, and available endpoints, how you are going to take the endpoint. So there is something called as completion. Model takes an input prompt and generates one or more predicted completions. So this is nothing but in Azure OpenAI there is something called completion, chat completion and embeddings. This completion, what it will do, it will take in the prompt and it will generate one or more predicted outputs or completes. For example, I have a, so just I have a, after that what it is, it can consider as an I have a mouse, or else I have a keyboard or a laptop. So anything can be considered, right? So it is randomly going to take any one predicted outcome and it is going to give, that is called completion, completion of a sentence. But when it comes to chat completion, model takes input in the form of chat conversation where it's then generates the next chat. For example, your chat GPT you can take, so input chat, you can ask any question, it is going to generate the output answer, right? So for that the chat completion is working internally. Embeddings, which take inputs and return the vector representation of the inputs. So what embeddings will do, it will take the input data in any other forms and it will generate the vector space for that. Okay, so you can see all this are there. So I'm just going to go to the next module. So you'll get it the down only next, but I'm not able to do that because I have already completed all these particular modules. Okay, or here you have something called as next. So your endpoint, so you'll get the endpoint here in Azure OpenAI, your API key and your deployment name. All this I'll show you all practically. So this is a REST API or a JSON code, you can say, how you are going to write the REST API code, and the response will be in JSON. So here we are using text DaVinci 03003 module for chat completion. GPT 3.5 Turbo is enough. And for embeddings, there is something called as embeddings model. So you can open that. Okay, I want you all to read this. I'm just giving you all an overview. So here you have an option to select which language you want to do, either in C sharp or in Python. So I'll take just Python now for now. So for both SDK covered in the units, you need to endpoints and the keys of the Azure OpenAI. So I already told you all right where you can get the endpoints. So if you just come out of this Azure OpenAI, if you go back to the portal.azure.com, so you already might have deployed, right? I have already deployed something called as OpenAI testing 12 in my previous video only. So if you have not checked that deployment video, you can check that. So here you have the keys and endpoints, right? So you can open this and you can see the key and endpoints, okay? And pip install OpenAI and you have the code here. So you will be writing the configuration code like this. And you have something like input and output, everything, okay? So now what we are going to do, so I'll like just will directly skip into the exercise. So I'm not going to use their lab because if you are going to use the lab also, you require your Microsoft ID and password only. So instead of using their lab, I would like to click on this exercise instructions here and I'll use it personally in my computer, okay? So the instructions are loading. So you can see here integrating Azure OpenAI in your app. Okay, for that first the basic configurations, so which we already have done. So deployment. So now the model they are expecting is GPT 3.5 Turbo 16K. So for this what I'll do, I'll open my Azure. So I'll click on this, open a new tab. Because there I have my endpoints also, right? So I have to again come back. So I require that. And yeah, okay. Unique name you have to give, standard 5K token limit and enable dynamic quota. Okay, so again I'll go back to deployments here. I'll click on deployments. You have something called as models also. You have all these models which you can use in your Azure OpenAI. So I'll just click on deployments, create deployment, select the module. So I'll use, so they were asking GPT Turbo 3.5 60K, right? 16K. This one, and I'll give it as Turbo 16. So I'll just give the deployment name as Turbo 16 create. So now it's creating, guys. So already the deployment is done. And now what they are expecting us to do. So it's expecting us to do the VS Code. Okay, so for VS Code, they have given a GitHub link here where they already have the code. Okay, so I'm just going to clone this. So those who all don't know how to clone the repo, you can just see here. I'll show you all. Click on anywhere. So you can create any new folder anywhere. So I'm just creating ms learn. So I'll open that folder. So show more. So you should have git bash, okay? Git bash, or you have to install git. Make sure you all install git. To install git space download, okay? That's enough. Now here type git clone and link of that particular URL you have copied, enter. So now it is cloning. So it already cloned it. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go here, show more, open with VS Code. So this is what I do now. So it is done with opening it with VS Code. So what else they have asked us to do apart from this? So once you have said this, then what they have expected us, configure your application. So to configure your application, what they have told. So first we need to create one environment, right? So this is the one. So what I'll do, I'll just click on this terminal, new terminal. So I'll just select my git bash. You can select anything, but I like git bash. So I'm selecting git bash here. Okay. So you have your lab files and lab instructions also. Okay. So git bash here, I'll write conda create -p. I'm creating a new environment, okay, because I don't want all the dependencies to be installed in my computer and get changes. So I'm creating a new environment where I can install, and after completing this project I can delete the environment. /mslearn. So I'm giving this enter. So it's creating a conda environment. Yes, enter. Conda activate /mslearn. Yeah. So mslearn is activated now. You all can see here. So now I have activated this. So what they have told. So in that particular instructions, if you see here, he has told that configure your application. So they have told explore panel, browse to lab files and 02 NLP Azure OpenAI folder, and either select C# or Python depending upon the language you prefer. And then you have to install this. So I have to install Azure OpenAI. So what I'll do, I'll just select, I'll open mslearn, not mslearn, lab files, 02 NLP, Python, and in test. Okay, so in this, now what I have to do, I have to install Azure OpenAI. So I have already copied the command. Okay, pip install Azure OpenAI, pip install OpenAI. So I'm installing that. Now this is getting installed. By the time it get installed, so there is something here called .env. Okay, so in this .env here you have to give all your endpoints. In a sense, you will be copying the endpoint name from here. So where in this, yeah, in this you have here, right, copy the endpoint name. So I'm just copying the endpoint name from here. Let us complete the configurations. So endpoint name I'll paste here, and here for Azure OpenAI key. So let it to expose for this particular video. I have no problem because I'll immediately delete this once this video is done. Okay, so I'm just showing you all the code. Okay, so immediately this will be deleted. So I want you all to like make sure. Okay, so LangChain incapabilities. Okay, that doesn't matter. It's fine. So now it has installed, right? For me, there is some error, but it will install for you all properly. Okay. So when it comes to deployment name, so I have given the deployment name as Turbo 16, right? So this deployment name where you have to find out, you have to see it here. Deployment name Turbo 16. What you have created the name, that name. Okay. So once that is done, so this is done for now. Clear. Okay, now open testing. So here what they have told, once that is done, there are some codes to be added. So once this is done, endpoint configurations and everything is done in Python. So you have to copy this code. So you need to import Azure OpenAI. So that is not imported here. Azure OpenAI. And the configurations you can see here, already the configurations are enabled. Pip install .env. Okay. So for .env, is it done? No, .env is not installed. Okay, so I have a command for this. Just give me a second. Okay, so just open your terminal again. Type pip install python-env. Enter. Requirement already satisfied. So then what is the issue? So cd space for lab files, and in lab files we have so let me just copy this path directly. Copy path. Enter. cd space. Okay. ls. Okay. So cd space lab files slash. Now what we require, lab files in that Python. Inside lab files, okay, 02 nlp slash Python. So enter. Now here let me install pip install. OpenAI should get installed. So this is done. Let us continue with further code. So what code they have given here. So let me just copy this code. Okay. So I'll just explain you all the code. But once this is done, so you already have here something called as add your code. Okay. So let us just enable this properly. So all the endpoints and everything has taken. Okay. So now this is done. So what this is doing, role. So here what we are doing, we are trying to call with the help of Azure OpenAI. So at the backend, and we are trying to run the code here. So what it is happening. So we have given here the code. Okay, client is equals to Azure OpenAI. So endpoint is equals to the endpoints whichever we have defined, and version is equals to this is the version. So this will be a normal default version. If you want, you can change it. That's not a problem. Chat.completion.create. So model, again we have given the deployment name, temperature and everything. So then just let us run this Python test OpenAI module.py. So you can see here, summarize the following text in 20 words or less. So what it is saying, we already have a text file here called sample text. So the process of making syrup begins by tapping boiling 219 degrees. So it is just summarizing that. So it is here. Maple syrup is made of tapping a spot into a sugar tree. So in 20 words, it has just summarized it. Okay. So I guess, yeah, you all got it, I guess. So this code is nothing but how you are going to work. So you can just see here, I'll just go through the code once very soon. So importing the necessary libraries, Azure, okay, def main function where we are loading the dot environment, and endpoints whatever we have in our dot env, right, in this particular file we have configured here, right, the API key and everything that we are calling here, okay? And after this, we are writing the code. Text is equals to OpenAI and file path. So this is the file path of which this file path which we are going to take, okay? So which we are going to take and run, okay, in our code, and we are going to summarize. So that file path input we are giving here, okay? You can consider this as input. So sending the request summary to the OpenAI endpoint. So it is sending. So this is just printing the statement. Client is equals to Azure OpenAI. So endpoint is there, and API key I have here, and the version, and response is equals to client.chat.completion.create. Model is equals to Azure OpenAI model. Okay. Temperature is equals to 0.7. So I'm telling you to make it a bit creative. Maximum tokens is equals to 120. And message is equals to role. So first there will be two categories, role of the system and user. So system, it is going to give us take the input and summarize. So for system, what we are telling, you are an helpful assistant. So what input we are going to give, based on that you should perform. Summarize the following text in 20 words or less. And we are giving the text here. We are passing the text here. So once we pass that, and once we print summary and response.choice 0 message, and we are printing it. Then finally we are getting the output. Okay. So I hope you all got the output, how we have done this. Just practically try out once, so you all don't need to write even the code also. Everywhere there is a hashtag commit which is already written, where you need to initialize the Azure OpenAI code, everything. Just copy the code from here, update there, and you are just going to make the configurational changes from this Azure OpenAI tokens. That's all, nothing else. By seeing the code you will understand. So guys, that's all for today's video. Do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you all. Meet you in the next video. Bye.